How's it going, everybody? Welcome back to the channel. Today, let's have a look at some of the brand new retro play Masters of the Universe action figures from Mattel, along with Battle Cat. When I was a kid, HeMan action figures didn't really have a whole lot of articulation. Elbows, nyet. Knees, nyet. And their legs were attached to their body with these little elastic bands that would go brittle and break on you, and then you'd have no legs. Well, these new retro play figures, which have been styled to look an arse load like the classic ones from the 80s, actually have an absolute butt-ton more articulation. And the packaging for all of these is super reminiscent of what we got way back in the day. I really love Mattel's artistic direction with these. Okay, I've yacked you long enough. Let's get all these guys out of their packaging one by one, and then we shall take out the Battle Cat. So first, let's unbox HeMan, the most powerful man in the universe. Here are the first 6 figures in the wave. Obviously, I couldn't find Beastman or Tila in my local Walmart, but it is kind of cool that they've chose to include these 2 little information diagrams. All right, let's open it up. Oh man, I feel bad. I'm just gonna do it. For $14.99, the price point for these as well is darn near perfect to make these accessible for kids. So there's the mini comic. There's the figure, bag of bits, and what? Oh no! I killed HeMan! 'Cause I'm half the man I used to be. I killed him! Oh, never mind. I fixed him. We're all good. Okay. So you know when you see something and you go, that looks kind of cool, and then you get a little bit, excited about it? Having him out of the package, I'm a lot more excited than I thought I was going to be. Like, so excited. Like I'm a 6-year-old again. I know that some of you may argue that it seems like I possibly did not ever grow up in the first place, and there might be some validity to that argument. Here's a little comic book. This artwork is nothing like the original comic book's artwork right here. Hey, cool. You know what? I'm turning these pages, and if you would like to pause it and look at each one, you can feel free to do that. Here's HeMan's shield. It's definitely a lot different than it was back in the day, and it attaches to his wrist. If I'm not mistaken, actually this is not how it attached either before. I can't remember though. It's been a long time, and I don't own a classic HeMan figure to compare this to. Here's HeMan's axe that he comes with. A little reminiscent of the past, but also certainly looking like it's also its own thing. And we've seen HeMan's power sword already. This one definitely is different than the original in that the original one had plastic that connected right up here at the hilt. And this one they've said, don't worry about it, we don't need that there. It's just that structurally it sounds enough without it. And the cool thing is, it fits right there. There's actually a holster right in the back of his armor, where previously when we were kids we just had to cram the sword in his armor back like that. Nope. They actually had some foresight and decided to actually make a spot for it. A thing of a place. Frig it. My only real complaint is that they didn't include an extra actual real power sword that doesn't have the little nubbly things on the back to connect it to Skeletor's purple one. I realize they're trying to do something that is historic to the last one, but I certainly would have preferred it had they have also included just a regular power sword. Now, even though this figure is so reminiscent of the original HeMan figure, we've already shown that it's different in the shield and the sword and the battle axe way. I mean, these are all different than the original. But the figure itself, though very reminiscent, also has some major differences. For one, HeMan's hair is just sculpted yellow plastic rather than being painted on. I'm okay with that, actually. That makes this whole head sculpt just pops. It stands out more. His little chest piece here, his harness, is different, though reminiscent of the original HeMan figure as well. And the same thing can be said for his entire body sculpt and shaped. I mean, it really does look, when you look at his legs right here, like you could pull them apart and see that nasty, horrible rope, the rubber thing that used to go brittle and snap on you. But nope, they've replaced that with a fantastic ball joint groin, which is equally as articulative as the original. However, it'll hold a pose, and it's probably not gonna snap on you. They did replace the whole idea of having that thunder punch waist with just a regular old tornado waist there, which I think is just fine. The shoulders on this guy, as well as the rest of the HeMan figures, at least the males at this point, is going to have the rounded hinges, no bicep swivels. You do have the rotative, almost 90-degree elbows, articulation at the wrists. We've already talked about HeMan's groin there having the ball joints. The head, it's on a ball joint, and is there a hinge as well? I can't tell. I'm just going to assume that it's your basic bobbly ball joint. And then you've got the knees for these HeMan figures. These definitely are way better because before there was no articulation in the knees. They do 90-ish. Good enough for me. And then you've got articulation at the top of the boot, and then you've got the pivot ankle right here.
Pivot! Pivot!
Cool beans. Love this. Now let's open up Skeletor. Let's go clubbing! As usual, we have the Masters of the Universe packaging, the same as He-Man's at the front, except for it says Skeletor. Turn that bad boy around there. Again, we see all the other figures that come in the series, except for there's that fantastic piece of art at the very top of the card there, as well as, hey, it's Skeletor. You could put the thing in the hand and you could do the this and the that with the body. And then there's the boring gobbledygook. No one cares! Let's open it. Is it just me, or are we getting, like, the best action figures ever? I'm telling you, Hasbro and Mattel and Mafex, everyone's killing it. This is like, what an amazing time to be a collector. Don't you go breaking apart in half like He-Man did. There we go. Skeletor! Cool. All right, here is the comic. Let's look at the comic first. Get out of the way. Beast Barrage. That's, hey, wait a minute. That's the same comic. Is that the same that's the same comic. That is definitely the same comic. Oh, I thought we were going to get like a Superpowers-esque, each story is individual to the figure, but nope. The only difference is this one actually says Beast Barrage on the front. Here's Skeletor's power sword, and it's got the holes in the back. Here's He-Man's, it's got the nubs in the back, and we can actually stick these two together to make, just like the old school, one strange-looking purple and silver power sword. Here's his Ram's head scepter. Let's get in closer. Closer still. Still closer. Still closer. Okay, about there, then I'm going to lose focus. That is fantastic looking. Alright, and as far as a place to put his power sword, this is it. This is what we had to do with He-Man way back in the day, right here. Also, I must apologize that he's blue and the background is blue, which means if this was a blue screen and he was a weatherman, then he would just be a floating head with some purple bits going across the screen, because there's a lot of washout here. Sorry about that. One of the cool things I like about these figures, and going right back to the early Motu Classics line, is that these figures have enough articulation that they can actually just stand up straight. And I definitely prefer that compared to the older figures, which were always stuck in that half-crouched over a truck stop toilet taking a dump pose because they don't want to sit down on the seat and get herpes on their butt. Here's a close-up view of old Skelly's head. He looks shocked and surprised, just like he walked in on his grandma using the bathroom or something like that.
Right. Naked grandma! Naked, huh?
Whoa, sorry Grandma. Lifting up his little battle kilt, you can see that just like the classic one, he's got the same fluffy underpants as He-Man has, only in black. And around the back here, if I'm not mistaken, this is how they did it back in the day. They had the two harnesses and a harness back there. So this figure here, if I put him next to an original He-Man figure, which I admittedly don't have, so I can't do, let's move on to the next one. Man-at-Arms! Same packaging, we don't really need to go through that, do we? However, on the back we do have that fantastic, unique Man-at-Arms piece of artwork right there, along with some little boxy things saying this is the this and that is the that. Let's open it up. Hold on. Oh wait, the comic's in there. Not that it matters. It's gonna be exactly the same. Let's just look at the comic, and it's, nope, got He-Man and Power Sword and bam, and there they are together. Nope, it's the same. All right, let's cut out Man-at-Arms bits and pop Burt Reynolds out of the package. Now, I never did own Man-at-Arms as a kid. I had a friend that did, but I never did own him. So this is actually my first Man-at-Arms figure. He comes with these little bits of armor here. There's this bit right here, and this piece right here, along with that bit. Looks like a shoulder pauldron. And a club for braining people. Hang on, let's get all this on him and I'll be back in a second. There we are. Why does he only have armor on one side of his body? I've never really questioned that before, but it's putting armor on. I'm like, I look at it and I think, okay, so when someone, does he just like turn this side of his body into battle? Now, Man-at-Arms is actually made on the exact same buck as Skeletor and He-Man, so I'm not really going to go over any of the articulation points or anything like that. The armor is quite nice though. It's a soft, squishy rubber. And the same thing with here. You would look at this and think it's going to be hard, but it's not. Man-at-Arms face sculpt includes that fantastic Burt Reynolds / Magnum P.I. mustache. If I'm not mistaken, I don't think the original one ever had the mustache. Cool looking helmet though. Looks like he could take at least a few bludgeons to the head before his brains got bashed in. I love how the colors on this guy just go and they pop. Next, let's do Evil-Lyn, which, like the rest, I sound like a broken record. Package is exactly the same, except for she's got her name right there up top. So I guess you don't really need to see the front. Let's look at the back, which has that fantastic Evil-Lyn artwork up at the top there, as well as the other figures in the series, and the little boxes that show that the weapon goes here, and then that she can move around and shake her booty. Great. Let's open her. Carefully, trying not to rip the card too bad. Fail! Here's the comic. It's exactly the same on the inside. Big surprise. Here she is in her bubble. Not looking very happy. Let's release her. Oh boy. All her weapons are wrapped up like a doob. Hold on a second. It's like they never want you to get these things out. Just leave it in the package. Mint. End card. This is our way of encouraging you. And by accessories, I just mean her one single lone accessory for bludgeoning people over the top of the head with. Nah, it's actually her magic sorcerer ball staff. Now, just like the size and shape of the male figures in this line, the female bodies are also intended to look very much like the originals, only with more articulation points. Also, just like with Man-at-Arms, I never actually owned Evil-Lyn as a kid, so this is the first Evil-Lyn figure I've ever had. She does look nice enough, though. I mean, when I compare her to the pictures that I've seen of Evil-Lyn, she looks pretty much right on spot. I think it's cool they managed to capture the original look of the He-Man figures while adding the articulation points and having them not look too weird and gangly. I mean, they do look a little bit strange in the knees here, whether it's the guys or the girls, but I think in general, these are a massive, massive success in creating something that looks classic, but is also modernized. Here's a close look at Evil-Lyn's face sculpt and all of her fancy-dancy headgear. She actually reminds me of the evil mom from the second Conan movie. Now, just like with the men, she's got all those updated articulation points, and they're actually exactly like the men's, with the head being on a ball peg, the shoulders being on those rounded hinges. She has those elbows that are 90 degrees, single jointed, but they also rotate around in a circle. She's got the peggy hinge wrists right there. She's got the tornado waist right here, ball joint groin. She's got the single jointed, pretty much 90 degree knees there that do have that kind of roundy motion. She also has articulation at the top of the boot, and she has the pivot ankle hinge. For a $14.99 kids toy, which is what all of these are, $14.99 is not an excessive price for an action figure in this day and age made for kids. And now let's look at Battle Cat. Man, oh man, this box is so much bigger in comparison to what I just had up on the stage here. Love this box art. I think that this really displays well on the shelves. It's such a jump right back into the 1980s with the kind of box art we used to get back then. Here's the one side of the box. It's exactly the same as the other. Okay, well, not exactly the same, but pretty much. And here's the back. It's got that really cool artwork. He-Man riding into battle against Skeletor on Battle Cat's back, along with all the rest of the figures that you can get in the series, and the Prince Adam Sky Sled, which also I have yet to see out in the wild. Anyway, let's open this bad boy up. We'll just cut along the pretend dotted line and yankety spank out of the package. Nope, nothing else in there. I think someone's gonna need rescuing. Man, just thinking about it, I'm betting that PETA, as anal as they are, would really not like Battle Cat. They'd probably have He-Man on their shit list. I mean, technically he is exploiting this animal. What about horses? Man has rode into battle on horses for years. We're like besties. Anywho, I love him. I'm gonna just say off the bat though, he probably could have done with some ankle articulation there, just because getting him standing in a pose with the knees having articulation, you know, it kind of makes it just a little bit challenging in some respects to get him into a dynamic... Oh, his helmet fell off. Hang on a second. Nope, that's not right. It does make it just a little bit challenging, because you're going to move his legs forward like this, and then his foot's just stuck up like that. But for a $20 kid's toy, I can't really complain about it. I'm just making an observation, because this is definitely worth the money. I love his battle armor. I love that. That is so cool. They did such a good job with that. And if you'll notice, the little teethy spikes here are actually gloss, while the rest of it is a matte. Here's what Battle Cat's headgear looks like. That looks very much comparable to the original that I had as a kid. And here's what Battle Cat looks like when you take off the helmet. Yeah, I think that without the headgear, he looks pretty much like he did when I was a kid. I mean, I don't currently own him anymore, so I can't really tell you, but you know, this definitely invokes damn old school He-Man feels. And now the Battle Cat's armor's off, we can get a better look at this sleek green tiger-esque feline. He's got a hinge up there in the tail, which is definitely a lot more articulation than we got back in the day with the statue one. You can turn it like this as if it's an old school airplane or jalopy. For all of his legs on both sides of his body here, where they connect to the torso, he does have back and forth kind of motion, but nothing out. These aren't rounded hinges, they aren't ball joints, they just go back and forth. However, he does have rounded hinges in all four of his knees, and there's a pretty good range of motion, and they go around like that too, which does actually help with the posing as well. So that's what he's got for the legs. And then when you get to the head portion, he's actually got two pieces of articulation. He's got the articulation right here in the neck and then also in the head. And technically he's also got a piece of articulation in the mouth. So from here, there's a pretty darn good range of motion that you can get with Battle Cat. Again, I do wish that Battle Cat had the hinges right down there in the ankles, because that would certainly make posing him a lot easier. All right, let's strap his armor back on him. Put his helmet back on his head, because he is ready to be ridden by He-Man, who fits just perfectly. Yep, that is a perfect fit. How snug is he? Whoops. Oh, sorry, He-Man. You're the most powerful man in the universe. You're not gonna get a concussion, are you? Okay, let's just keep He-Man in frame here. I'm gonna bring in some other figures to do some comparisons, and then the video will be over, and you'll all be going, thank God, this mess is finally finished. You can see over here we have the Mode 2 He-Man from the Mattel Classics line, and then over here we have the first edition of the Mode 2 animated He-Man, the one that came in this box right here. Oh, hi. We can see that he's considerably smaller and less tanned. And now how about a Skywalker and a Zelda, a Spawn and a Saitama, a Brotherhood of Steel from Fallout, and a Bill Murray from Ghostbusters, and a Lion-O and a Lion-O, one from Mattel, and one from Funko. Okay, so now that you've had the unfortunate displeasure of having to sit through one of my reviews, if you made it this far, thank you so much. If you did, consider subscribing as well, because if you like this kind of nonsense, there's definitely more of that coming down the pipes. What do I think of these figures after the fact? Well, you know what? Here in Canada, they're $14.99, which is, you know, obviously that's $15 minus a penny. I mean, who really thinks that these are $14? They're a penny off of $15. For $15 figures, these guys are definitely well worth the money. And I know for you folks watching this in the States, they're going to be a couple dollars cheaper. So the real question is, how can you go wrong? They look vintage, they look classic, they definitely evoke damn old school He-Man feels, while at the same time having enough collectability and articulation for modern toy collecting enthusiasts, as well as parents who want to buy these for their kids, and people who like to take Instagram photos. There's a little bit of something for everyone here. Nah, crap here. Right at the end of the video, I'm doing my photo shoot for the end of the video here, all my action poses and stuff, and wouldn't you know it, Skeletor's arm snapped off. So that is something that unfortunately you've got to be aware of. A tiny little peg, and right here it was all stuck, I guess, and I barely even gave it very much torque to try and turn it, and it snapped. Phooey. Anyway, everybody, that's it for today. Thank you so much for tuning in and watching, and I will see you with the next one. Have an awesome day, everybody, and take care. I'm used to saying have a DC day.